People say life lessons come with age, but mine decided to come a little early. At 14, I may not have seen the whole world, but trust me when I say I have seen enough to understand the power of compassion. Because sometimes the most powerful lessons don't come from books or classrooms. They come from moments that test us, that change us, that quietly teaches us what truly matters. Now, what's the first image that comes to your mind when I say the word compassion? Is it your mom hugging you tightly when you're in pain? Or just your friend sitting beside you, holding your hand while you cried on her shoulder? It's not loud or grand. It's a soft, quiet feeling, almost invisible, until it touches your heart and you feel it. Just like the way I felt it from so many people and forms in my story. So, what's my story? Between the Christmas of 2024 and the New Year of 2025, within just 7 days, my world turned upside down. We are a small family of three, and my world revolves around my parents. We were a happy and loving family like any of you all, sharing dinner, talking about our days, loving each other endlessly. Like all other families do. But then suddenly, my father was diagnosed with an extremely rare heart condition and had to undergo an immediate life-saving surgery in Chennai. He was diagnosed with an aortic aneurysm that had grown to such a size it could rupture at any moment. He needed a Bentall procedure, an open heart surgery where part of his aorta would be replaced with a synthetic graft. The situation was already complex, but to top it all, there were only two surgeons in the entire country who performed these high-risk surgeries, one in Gurgaon and the other in Chennai. This sudden storm swept through our lives and scattered us like the Jenga blocks that come collapsing after one wrong move. We were told that the survival rate was just 2%, and the time we were given, 7 days. The clock was ticking. And in those 7 days, we had to find the best surgeon in India, take some really difficult decisions, travel to Chennai, a place where we had no relatives, no friends, no familiar faces, just uncertainty. On January 8th, my father underwent a 16-hour-long surgery. January 8th, what was special about it? It was special because that date coincided with the week-long international conference of cardiothoracic surgeons happening in Chennai. And that meant not only the best surgeon in India, but expert doctors from all over the world, US, Singapore, Germany, France, everyone would be there at the hospital to offer their guidance. Well, wasn't it after all God's grand plan to give you just 7 days and let you know that only a couple of people could actually attempt this surgery, and then bring you to the very place where all the experts came under one roof? Wow, crazy, right? It was a miracle indeed. On the day of the surgery, 18 unknown people donated blood in the city we thought was not ours. His surgery was successful. He was recovering well. We all felt that the entire universe was by our side because it wasn't just a coincidence that we landed up in the right place at the right time under the right person. But as if we jinxed our own happiness, within months, he developed a serious infection, which was far more dangerous than his condition before. Our world collapsed. Our battle was far from done. This time, our stay in the hospital was longer and more painful. Over the next 4 months, I saw all the things I had only heard of before. ICUs, hospital wards, endless scans, complicated medical terms, machines that beep through sleepless nights, Doctors coming in blue scrubs, explaining something we didn't want to hear or understand. I was once a free spirited girl who loved life. At school, I was always brimming with energy, the kind of person who'd jump at every opportunity that came her way. I loved sports. I loved to dance, to act in dramas, to host programs, and honestly, in anything that let me truly express myself. And through it all, I carried a quiet confidence, the kind that made me feel I could take on the world. But after those months in the hospital, watching nurses come in and out endlessly, seeing my father suffer so much, something in me began to change. When I returned to school, I wasn't the same anymore. Have you ever felt like the whole world is surrounded by people, but you still feel completely alone? Like the whole world is moving forward, but you are stuck. That's exactly how I felt. People asked me, "Hey, are you doing okay?" I said, "Yes, I am fine." Because sometimes pretending feels easier than explaining, right? Maybe I inherited that stubbornness from my dad because he's exactly like that. Slowly, I withdrew from my friends. I didn't want to talk about my pain. I started noticing strange changes in myself. I carried small objects in my bag, like a tiny idol of God. I felt I had to wear my hair the same way every single day, even the same clips. Not one more, not one short. All these changes didn't make any sense. I felt confused and frustrated. I wanted to stop but couldn't because I feared if I did, something terrible would happen to my dad. Anxiety held me tightly, and I started losing myself, falling behind in academics, losing interest and confidence in everything I once loved. I felt like I was drowning and that no one could ever understand. But I was wrong. Because one day I gathered whatever courage I had left and went to my mother. I said, "Ma, something is happening to me. I don't know how to explain it, but all I know is that it's heavy and painful." She just hugged me and listened. In that moment, I allowed myself to break, to cry, to open my heart, and finally receive compassion. That moment, that was my first step towards healing. But honestly, the next steps didn't come from me alone. They came from people around me. My teachers noticed my silence. They hugged me and whispered, "It's okay, you'll overcome this." They made sure I was not sitting alone. They were relieved every time I tried to smile. My school counselor listened without judgment, gently untangling the knots in my mind, helping me breathe again. My principal checked in regularly, asking not only about me but about my parents too. All my friends called every single day after school just to keep my mind steady. They shared silly jokes, just anything to make sure I didn't go back to that dark space again. Our family members and friends brought food for us, sat with us during dinner, filled the silence in our home with life and laughter. And slowly, with people holding us from every side, we began to heal. Today, my parents are healing. I am healing, and I thank God every single day for that. But what was it that actually saved us? What kept us going in those darkest of moments? What gave us hope when we had none left? It was the hearts that were compassionate, just small act of kindness and love, but one that held us together when everything was falling apart. Now, if you ask me what this entire journey has taught me so far, it comes down to two simple lessons. Lessons that changed not just my life, but myself. The first one: be compassionate to the people around you. I know we live in this fast paced world dominated by social media. We share reels with our friends every single day. But do we ask them, hey, are you doing okay? Compassion isn't always grand. Sometimes it's so ordinary that we miss it. For example, in my apartment, every evening when I step down from my school van, I notice an old security guard. Every single day, he waits for the buses to come, goes near the door, and helps the little kids cross the road safely. No one asks him to do it. Most children don't even say thank you. But he smiles and does it again the next day. That is compassion. Quiet and simple, not for praise, not for attention, but because someone might need it. And the second lesson, the one that took me the longest to learn, it's okay to say I am not okay. It's okay to allow someone else to show compassion to us when we are hurting. I always thought being strong meant handling everything alone. I hid my pain, my fears, because I was scared that people might think I'm weak. But I learned the hard way. It takes strength to say I am not okay. It takes courage to be willing to seek help, to show your vulnerable side. But when I finally allowed myself to do that, it saved me. Today, I'm still a work in progress, but I've started participating in a lot of events with the same confidence I once had. I've started feeling more grateful to all the things I have in my life. I've started forgiving people easily, looking past their flaws. But I was not always like this. If someone hurt me or anyone I loved, I would give it back to them without any hesitation. But now, I don't feel angry or revengeful. I just feel compassionate because I've learned one thing. People who hurt others aren't always cruel. Sometimes they too are silently hurting. P.S. My mom does not agree with me on this one. But yes, this was my story. And I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you out there for holding me when I was ready to let go. You didn't just help me, you brought me back to life. And as I stand before you today, I am not fully healed, but healing. I am not perfect, but becoming. I have walked through days of pain, fear, hopelessness, and confusion. Yet, I still choose to laugh, to love, to be kind, to dance, and to live every moment fully and fiercely. And I just want to say one thing. If I can do it, you can too. If I can smile like this, despite all the pain, you can too. So, wherever you are in your journey, please don't stop smiling. Celebrate every moment because strength isn't just about how loudly you fight the storm. Sometimes it's about how gracefully you rise through it. Thank you.